Lewis Hamilton suffers huge blow in ahead of the São Paulo Grand Prix. Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton has been disqualified from Brazilian Grand Prix qualifying and will start the sprint race from the back of the grid after an FIA investigation into his rear wing. Hamilton was due to start from the front of the grid on Saturday, ahead of his main title rival Max Verstappen, before the FIA flagged an issue with the rear of his car. After being summoned to the stewards in a lengthy overnight process, the FIA released a document stating that Hamilton's car could not fulfill the requirement of a maximum 85 mm measurement, adjustable positions of uppermost rear wing element, meaning it failed an FIA check on the rear wing, which opens up when the DRS drag reduction system is activated. Hamilton wasn't the only driver under investigation on Friday as questions were raised after a video emerged of Verstappen looking at the rear of the Red Bull, and then seemingly checking his rival's car too. The 24-year-old was then summoned to the stewards over an alleged breach of the FIA International Sporting Code relating to park firm conditions, with the championship leader due to start alongside the seven-time world champion on Saturday. The Dutchman was only hit with a fine however of around £42,000 after touching Hamilton's rear wing in Brazil, inheriting the front of the grid start. The document continued to say, in lay terms, there is a gap between the upper and lower parts of the rear wing. When the DRS is not activated, this gap must be between 10 mm and 15 mm. The car passed this part of the test. When DRS is activated, When DRS is activated, which raises the upper element of the wing to a flatter position, the gap must be between 10 mm and 85 mm. The maximum gap is measured, in accordance with TD 01119, by pushing an 85 mm gauge against the gap with a maximum load of 10 N-newtons. If the gauge goes through, then the car has failed the test. But in Hamilton's case, the gauge would not pass through at the inner section of the wing, but did at the outer section of the wing. The stewards added the test was repeated 4 times during the investigation with 2 different gauges. The stewards took so long in deciding an outcome after various trips the stewards for both drivers that the FIA failed to give back Hamilton's rear wing in time for the second practice session. It meant Mercedes were given permission for it to be replaced under park firm regulations, resulting in a P5 finish ahead of the afternoon sprint qualifying session. However, if Mercedes find they need to change the rear wing, Hamilton would have to start the sprint race from the pit lane in a huge championship hit. Hamilton trails Verstappen by 19 points in Brazil with just 4 races remaining. The 7-time world champion already faced a 5-place grid penalty for taking a new engine on Friday, and will now have an added disadvantage of starting from the back in the short race. The grid will be decided by Saturday's race results, with Hamilton desperate to claw points back from his Red Bull rival, or risk seeing his hopes for an 8th world title slip away from him.